Okay, to just keep the rest of this video short, keep these cards in mind. Ophion, Save Zone, Vanity's Emptiness, and Master Key Beetle. The last card that's probably not going to get touched is Pleiades. It's obviously Constellars are a good deck. If anybody's played it, they realize that they're good and what they can do. Pleiades is a card that one day in the future is probably going to get touched. It's just as good as Ophion. It makes plays that can keep your opponent just like shut down for a few turns. He's not going to get touched, but definitely a card to think about in the future. And the last cards I want to talk about are the cards with ridiculous power levels in this game that need to be considered for being banned, but I'm not going to make any predictions as to these because these ones are wild cards. Darkhold, Monster Reborn, and Heavy Storm. Personally, out of all these, I do never want to see Heavy Storm gone again. I've played in formats with Heavy Storm not existing, and this card upsets me a lot because it reverts players to playing trap heavy decks and just first turn do this, do that, set an infinite amount of back row, and then let your opponent go, and then you play the bait through their back row game. It's not fun. I think this card leaves some skill into the game because it makes people not make those stupid plays where they just set everything without any protection. Of course, people still do it, but this card makes the good players always play smart. So I never want to see this card go. Out of these two cards, if I were to take a guess out of the three, Monster Reborn should probably be banned. Dark Hole sees a little bit less play than other decks just because so many cards have self-protection that this card's kind of irrelevant at times, but don't get me wrong, it's real good. But Monster Reborn is definitely the best of the three. The reason being, if anybody knows, it's like most decks can't OTK that easily. This card allows you to OTK. This card, top deck, also allows you to come back into the game. I don't know if any of these three are going to be touched, but if any of them need to be touched, it's Monster Reborn. So if I had to make a guess of any of the Trinity being restricted again, I'm going to guess Monster Reborn will probably be the card. The next card is Card Destruction. As we've seen through time, card destruction finds its places in certain decks. It lets you search into your deck to grab new cards that you possibly could need to win the game. It also lets you dump cards that you probably want in the graveyard as well. We all know how good it is with Dark Worlds, but this card sets up a lot of OTKing, FTKing possibilities. We all know also coupled with Super Rejuvenation how good this card is. So I'm going to say this card needs to be banned. It's probably not going to be banned, but I'm going to say in the future it definitely deserves its place on the ban list. The next card we're going to talk about is, out of any card in the game that exists right now that I have any type of wish list for, is definitely Pot of Avarice. I love the card, it's good, but I absolutely hate playing this card, or playing against this card. Any deck that puts monsters in the grave really easily, it's pretty much just like Pot of Greed. There's a lot of decks that get monsters in grave super fast, and the one thing I just feel so annoying is that a person's like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, that, and then bad play, lose their whole field, and then top deck a Pot of Avarice, and they get a second chance. It's just annoying. It's too many times I've seen people just top deck a Pot of Avarice, or just play it anyways and just kind of below their advantage just because they know that they have this card and they can come back. It allows a lot of stupid plays and lets you not be as punished for them. I want to see this card to get banned, but it probably is not going to get banned. But obviously it's on that same power level, and there's no way you can disagree with me on that. The last card that I want to talk to you about is another FTK-abling card, which some of you may know about. The smart players who playtest a lot definitely know of this card's existence. It's Toon Cannon Soldier. Toon Cannon Soldier and regular Cannon Soldier. As we all know, Gustav Max, spamming that card burns your opponent to death. Mass Driver burns your opponent to death. This card is exactly the same. If anything, this card, more than regular Cannon Soldier and Mass Driver, with the exception of Gustav Max, because obviously it's always at your disposal, this is probably the better of all of them. Yes, it does require you to waste a normal summon, but any deck that can figure a way to special summon continuously with this card existing, it's not going to happen, but I'm going to tell you in the future, this is going to be a banned card. Especially given the fact that this has 3 Rotas. 3 of them. This card can be searched out, and it can be played in 3s as well. Anybody who played Chaos Dragons when they first came out, we all knew that Light Pulsar had a mandatory effect of summoning, so it didn't miss timing, and an FTK deck existed with Light Pulsar Dragon and Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon in this card, and we all know how easy it is to put a Light and Darkness Dragon and a Red Eyes on board. So you just normal summon this card and just burn your opponent to death. There's other decks that are going to come out that will be able to abuse this. Keep Toon Cannon Soldier in mind. One day, this card will be banned because it is that good. But that's the last card that I have to talk about. Filter through the video and you could see what cards that I did say I think are going to happen. If you listen and watch the video completely, you know that I didn't really claim that I think a lot of cards are going to get banned or limited, because as we all know in past formats, the September list is not really the one where Konami makes a lot of differences. It's usually where they make the least amount of changes, given that a lot of cards did just recently come out. Although we do have more cards coming out here in the future, they're going to test the waters and see how everything fares against each other. And then, obviously, we're going to see that Dragons and Prophecies are still going to be good. And then, come March 1st, we'll see the more harsher changes be made as newer sets are going to be released. So, hopefully, you see my points on certain cards, and you see how Konami likes to notice how things work and interact with each other. I know a lot of people want to see certain things happen, but we got to be realistic, guys. There's not going to be a lot of changes. I mean, a lot of these cards that people feel are too powerful or too new, Konami's still trying to sell these cards. They got tins coming out with some of these cards still. It's obviously the promo cards, the Dragons, and other things. So we're not going to see a whole lot of difference, but it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully, Konami will take notice of a lot of these cards that I mentioned, because as we will see as time goes on, that a lot of these cards are incredibly good. But until next time, stay tuned. I'm going to come up with some new deck lists and hopefully some discussion on certain cards. But until then, I'll see you guys later.